Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sin City Crypto Live. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts. Packed show today. We are talking about more traditional financial companies are entering our space. What does that mean for Bitcoin? Bitcoin's dominance hits 50%. Bitcoin is ripping as we speak. And good thing we have a special guest joining us, Kyle Chisholmore, who does TA and charts. Will be joining us in about 10-15 minutes to go over some support and resistance zones for Bitcoin and where you should enter and where you should exit and much, much more. But first, here is your other co-host, Robin.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, well, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take all that old, boring, and, well, stale information that you get from other channels, and, well, we dress it up all Vegas-like and feathers and go-go hats and apparently fun and sexy way. That's what we do here.
Guys, if you're watching on your TV, you might have noticed something different. Maybe better picture quality. Maybe the number 4 and the letter K on the bottom of your screen. Usually we stream in 1080, but today we are streaming in 4K, and there's only one way we did that, and that is due to channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. You guys might just think, well, the fiber came in, we're good. Nope, you got to change network settings. You got to update the system and the BIOS and everything. And guess what? We called Cam's Blue Wire Tech. They walked us through everything hand in hand. And so we appreciate them. There's channel sponsor. And if you want the same for yourself and your business, visit bluewiretech.com. So shout out to our sponsor. Also, shout out to Bitcoin. Rocco, can I get some bullhorns? How do you do this, Robin? Like that, or is that good or no?
Let's not go down that route anymore, okay? Pretty bad. Yes, thank you. I apologize for those of you that are new. I have no idea what's going on.
Take the camera away from me.
But
I'm embarrassed.
The bull market's back, baby. Yes, it is. That's how you do the bull horns, my man.
Oh,
right
sorry.
there.
Got to be a little more of a douche.
You gotta do the bull. You gotta do the bull.
Well, I'm seated, so you know.
Y'all wonder what the hell's going on? All right, look, man, we like to celebrate
Bitcoin pumping.
Bitcoin pumps. And also, we like to celebrate new milestones. So today, we haven't done it. And when's the last time we opened up the club?
It's been a while.
If we get to 300 viewers, we will open up the club. And if you have no idea what we're talking about, well, stick around. Let's get to 300. You find out. That's what we do.
I want to give a special shout out to Redman. He has been spamming our channel all across Twitter. Redman, I see you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Also, speaking of seeing things, I want you to see what I saw this morning. And in my head, I'm like, whoa, why? So basketball is played with what kind of equipment, Robin? With a basketball. Football is played with a football, and soccer is, well, played with a soccer ball. Apparently, there's a new sport called bowling ball. This is a cross between soccer and bowling, and I just, the guy, it gets better. It's a bowling ball. It's a soccer ball, and he goes to celebrate, and this is a recap of exactly how the video went. So, bowling ball, yeah. Can you imagine doing a header with that? That was bad. Yeah. I couldn't find a lot of funny stuff today, so that's all I got for funny. But I do have, so David Lin, so he used to be an anchor at Kitco. He has his own channel now, the David Lin Report on YouTube. Recommend you subscribe to it. It's got great people that come on his channel. Also, I will be on a Twitter Spaces with David Lin later today, and Gareth Soloway and some other big names in the space. So make sure we retweeted it. Go support us there as well. But he sat down with Jay Singh, and they talked about the number of companies filing bankruptcy. And so let's just hear. It's about a 1-minute clip. This is from David Lin's YouTube channel. And so let's take a look and listen to what they had to say.
The number of bankruptcies, companies with 100 million of debt, is actually the highest since April of 2020. And actually, probably by next month, we will be at the highest number of bankruptcy filings on a monthly basis since 2010.
From the data that you've looked at, what types of businesses have been filing for Chapter 11? Which sectors?
So there's zombie businesses like Bed Bath & Beyond, for example. What is, I think, the spark for the next fire is just the cost of capital. So even if you're a good company today and you're a small business lender, you cannot borrow at under 12%. By 2024, companies preparing to refinance their debt, they all plan a year in advance. Companies that were borrowing at 3, 4, 5, 6% that are now going to borrow at 10 to 13%, may not make it. And so they may have to restructure or file for bankruptcy. And it's going to be as soon as 2024. I think 2024 is going to be one of the biggest years for brands filing for bankruptcy that you probably know, that we've seen in a long time. The number of
So Jay Singh talks about the highest bankruptcies since 2020, the most we've seen since 2010. As this trend continues, we know the growing narrative in our space because, when you talk about cryptocurrency, love it or hate it, we're tied to macro, right? In a sense, we're tied to macro. The cryptocurrency industry as a whole is not separated from macro yet, okay? Hasn't deviated yet. And so when things like Fed interest rate hikes and the economy, the GDP decreasing, those things affect our industry. Now, I personally do think that Bitcoin will separate itself from that and be treated more like gold moving forward. It's just not there yet. So I guess the question I want to pose to you guys watching and to Robin as well here in a second is, if we do see these bankruptcies continue and these companies start to go under, Jay Singh in that interview talked about the how expensive borrowing capital is, right? You run a business. I mean, Amazon was running at a negative profit and loss, at a negative profit. So they were operating at a loss for a decade. So what does that mean? They borrow money, they grow their business. They borrow money, they grow their business. Well, if borrowing capital gets too expensive and these companies have to start laying people off or just going bankrupt, what kind of impact does that have on the crypto market as a whole? Also, I do want to throw a little note in there. There is still a large gap between supply and demand of the workforce. There's still about 1.8 to 2 jobs for every working person. Could there be a silver lining there? I know it's hard to put bankruptcy and silver lining in the same sentence, but could that level the playing field or kind of make things more level as far as jobs go and the unemployment market? Robin, what are your thoughts?
Oh, man, I think that we're in 50-50 land for recession, right? Because that's ultimately the overarching narrative, right? Are we going into a recession? Is corporate debt, is that an indicator of a deeper recession? Is that an indicator of companies that are going to go under, layoffs, even more of a slowdown in the economy? I think that's the question on everyone's mind. And there are two sides of the argument for every social media channel, every legacy media channel, every expert, every analyst. You can make a counter argument on both sides. And I'm not sure, man. I've listened to both sides and they both make sense, right? I think that we're in an environment that the government is trying to tackle inflation through raising interest rate hikes. And at the same time, as soon as something breaks, they print money. And so you have both scenarios at hand that can either drive or crash the economy, right? You got the interest rates, which historically have slowed the economy and also brought on deep recessions. And we also have printing, and we have unemployment at, pretty low numbers. So I don't know, man. I'm curious. But yes, the one thing is that Bitcoin's rallying. And I think that is more, and I'm not trying to like sidestep the narrative here. I'm just like, hey, yeah, we'll look at Bitcoin. But honestly, we've always, this is a cryptocurrency show. And the reason that we're discussing macroeconomics is because that they are tied. But no, at some point, if there's a giant influx of money, if there's a ton of liquidity that enters the system, then, it doesn't really matter what's happening globally. I know the two have been tied historically, but if there is an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF, if there's a ton of new capital entering into Bitcoin and in crypto ecosystem, and if that's what's happening, then yeah, man, it doesn't really matter what happens globally, right?
But here's the thing, Rob.
Here's the thing. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, so this is where I'm getting at. Let me ask you one thing. Let's just say by the end of the year, we're in a deep recession.
Okay.
Like unemployment's up to damn near 5%. The stock market pulls down 20%. S&P 500 is down 20%. We're testing the lows we were at in late 2022. But yet there's a spot Bitcoin ETF. 5 of them. It's more than likely there's more than one. 5 of them. Do you think we're at higher prices in that scenario or lower prices in that scenario than where we are right now?
Lower.
You think with the Bitcoin ETF out, you were going to be in a lower scenario?
Deep recession, 5% unemployment? Yeah.
That's where I disagree. That's where I think there's going to be, because there's going to be a flight of capital leaving the markets going for commodities. And I think that you'll see the price of gold go up. And I also think because Bitcoin is now going to be readily investable by New York Stock Exchange.
Your question was, do I think Bitcoin... Okay, what was the question again? Sorry.
The price of Bitcoin is going to be higher or lower with an ETF, but we're in a deep recession.
Higher.
That's what I said. You said lower.
Sorry. Yeah. My narrative has been a recession would be a great thing for Bitcoin as investors and people look
But I think without that ETF, Bitcoin will definitely be under 20K. If S&P 500 is testing new lows again, that's what I got. Unless there's the XRP case and Clarity and the SEC just takes its foot off the gas for trying to crash everything. So
here's my question, Robin, is they in that interview with David Lynn I showed, they talked about borrowing capital is becoming way too expensive. And we know that borrowing capital is not just for TradFi. Crypto companies and startups borrow capital too. And not just let me borrow money and launch a project. It's like, let me continue to borrow money so I can operate. If those wells start to dry up.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, our economy is dependent on growth, right? And if we wanted a new studio, we wanted to move, and we would have to borrow money from a bank, right? Because crypto ain't crypto portfolios ain't great enough right now for us to fund it.
I've seen people post their ETH address on Twitter and say you'll get nothing in return and get like $1 million. I think that might be.
But what I'm saying is that you're not going to open up a new McDonald's without borrowing from the bank. You're not going to open up a new IKEA location without borrowing from the bank. You're not going to open up a new Walgreens at the next corner without borrowing from the bank. That's just how the economy works. There are exceptions. There are smaller businesses that raise money, they set it aside, then they open up. But realistically, let's look at this realistically. You want to open up and expand your business, hire more people. Generally speaking, you're going to borrow from the bank. You're going to take on debt. And here's the thing: if the bank says it's 8%, that's crazy. If they say it's 6%, that's crazy. And especially on a business loan, a long-term business loan.
But it's crazy, Robin. You're not going to
borrow.
But it's crazy over the last decade. If you look at before then, those were average prices. You know what I'm saying? Those are the average rates. It's just we've become so accustomed to a low-rate environment.
Yeah, and so
now 5% seems
99
insane.
99 cents a gallon was normal back in the day too, but that ain't coming back.
Yeah, but that wasn't 10 years ago.
Well, then $1.99, $1.85, whatever you want to call it. 10 years ago, things were cheaper. The times are different. And, if you introduce quantitative easing into a system, when you take it away, the system struggles. If you offer 0% borrowing from the bank and they end up charging you 1% to 2%, the system relies on that and the business model shifts to that. So, it's all contingent on what the norm is. And if the norm is, hey, we're going to lend out money for 1% or 2%, and you run that for 10 years, And everyone's business models, P&Ls and profit and loss and all of that, if it changes and shifts to that business model, when you take it away, it don't work right. If the guy that sells you weed down the street, he start charging you $50.
What's up with you and talking about selling weed? Are you all right? You got
No,
a
I'm just
separate
saying,
business
man.
venture I don't know about?
That
or
was
what?
my first business venture, man. That was like one of my first
But
markets
you're
that I
done
got
with that,
into.
right?
And I'm just letting you know, if dude raised the prices, and that's the going rate, or lower the prices.
Speaking of raising prices, the price of the largest cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, is raising $27,900, up 2% over the last 1 hour, 3.5% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin is rallying. The total market cap is $1.08 trillion. With the volume has, you know what? Something I've noticed after FTX, since FTX, right? Remember seeing this volume at over 200 billion. And even with these big rallies, we haven't seen volume get that high, you know?
Real quick, you know what else I haven't seen get that high is our like button ratio. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I call on you to hit the like button because I got no because. Just hit the damn like button. Also, if you are new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. I have a few new people. We got Crypto RC, SGN Tong, MacDonos, Kenton Smith, a Dag Ann, Brian Robinson, Ray G, Crypto Crabman, and Derelict V. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Also, Sandy Warhol, the sister of Andy Warhol, is here as well. Actually, not sure if she's sister. But what a better day to have a TA expert on than today as Bitcoin rallies. And we have a first timer on the show. We have Mr. Kyle Chismore. Let's go ahead and patch him in. Kyle, how you doing?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. I'm David.
Hey.
The other gentleman is Robin. We want to thank you for joining us. We know this is your first time us meeting you and you meeting us. So we appreciate you joining us. For those that don't know who Kyle Chismore is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, man. So I got into crypto during right before the beginning of the last bull run, right after the COVID crash, when it went down to around $3,000, and then just went straight up from there. But yeah, I've traded my way up from $26 all the way up to $1.2 million so far, and now I'm about to make another 10% off of this crazy move that we're getting. We just broke out of a falling wedge structure to the upside, and we actually may be able to reclaim $30,000 again based on this formation structure.
Can
we
you
got going
can
on
you
right now.
actually can you share your screen and show us what you're talking about?
Sure. Yeah. One sec here.
I heard 30,000.
30,000. Yeah. 30,000 is the technical target. Let's see here. All right, cool. You guys can see my screen?
Yep.
All right, cool. So basically, this is the falling wedge structure that's been keeping Bitcoin down since $30,000. And that's part of the reason why the volume's been dying, like you were just saying. Falling wedge structure is basically a representation of investor confidence getting lower and lower and lower. And you can see that the volume starts to die as we get closer and closer to the apex of the formation. And right here, we have what's called a confirmation bounce off this downtrend level of resistance. We had price action come down, have it act as support. And then we had our first candle here. This 4-hour candle here was a representation of the actual confirmation. So for me, I waited to enter to get past this area of previous resistance. You can see within this falling wedge structure, we had price action have a hard time getting past it before we lost it as support. And once we got back above this, it was a great time to enter because it was a more secure time to enter rather than just waiting off of the confirmation bounce, because of this this behavior here was telling us that we could reverse. So I just wanted to be safe, waited till we got back above here, put my stop loss below the confirmation bounce, and now I'm going to be riding it all the way up to the technical target here, or I'll be getting out when price action falls over this uptrending level of momentum right here. So
what was
things
that,
are looking
that
great.
price target you mentioned there? What was the
The price target is up here at So I'm undercutting the target, of course. It's a good thing to do. But the technical target is the top of the formation at 31,035. But you want to undercut the resistance as much as you possibly can to make sure you get out safely. But getting acceptance into this range is really, really important because it could result in allowing us to reach much, much higher levels. If we zoom out on the daily, we can see in the past, this is where we consolidated before we had that massive crash. I'm not sure if this was the FTX crash or the Luna crash, but either way, we lost that level, and we're finally trying to get back up here to reclaim it again. And the macro technical target is off of this falling wedge structure here. I'm sorry, my screen's really messy. I trade all the time. It's technically up here at 68,000, but we have to take that with a grain of salt. If we were to look at this in a macros perspective, I believe our ceiling until we have this relief rally that we're in is most likely going to get exhausted around 48K. But short term, this is what I'm looking at is it's just $30,000 is where we're most likely going to be headed now.
Okay.
That's pretty much it, man.
Can we
Any questions about that?
No, we're good on Bitcoin. I'm actually gonna swap over to my laptop here. We're gonna take a look at the crypto bubbles. So a couple of the biggest gainers of the day, we have Stacks up 12.5%, Optimism up 14.5%, Caspa. Those are the three that are up double digits over the last day. As far as over the last hour, OP up 6.2%. But I do want to go to ETH as well. ETH is at 1788. What are some technical targets you're looking at for Ethereum?
Ethereum, that's a good question here. I haven't taken a peek at Ethereum for a little while. See.
I know the $2,000 was a pretty significant psychological number, obviously. I know last time Bitcoin was over 30K, it was under 2,000, but shortly after the Shanghai upgrade, Bitcoin and Ethereum, or Bitcoin was at 30K, Ethereum's at 2K, and it's lost dominance to Bitcoin basically since then. And what is the Ethereum chart telling you, especially in relevance to that big $2,000 number?
So Ethereum, let me just pull up my chart again here for you guys. Not sure if you can see my screen. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I'm not
There
sure.
we go.
All
right.
There we go.
Yep,
So Ethereum, it's got an inverse head and shoulder structure. So this is the downtrend level resistance right here. It just broke out. The technical target short term is you can take from the resistance level to the head of the formation and to give yourself a measurable target. It is up here at 18,060 short term. My only concern with Ethereum is it's approaching this uptrending level of support that could flip and turn into resistance. So we have to watch out for 1,830 that could act as local resistance along its way up towards that technical target. If we get acceptance back above here, then we might be able to revisit 2,140, but we don't have a structure yet that can actually give us that as an indicator just yet. We also have this downtrend level resistance that could also interfere with this path. But so far, it's looking healthy short term, but we do have to be concerned about this level right here. We have a point of control that had acted as a level of resistance and support in the past, and we're approaching it right now. So we might be getting an immediate pullback very shortly.
Okay. Zoltan from the chat said he just closed his Bitcoin long position at 28K. Was that a bad idea?
Yeah, it might have been. So one thing that helps me with my emotions, a lot struggle with that, is trying to know when the best time is to close your trade. So what I do is I track the momentum of the assets. So if the asset's momentum starts to fall, I'll immediately close about 50% and put my stop loss to break even. That way there's no more emotional involvement with that trade, and you can just let it rise as much as you possibly can. For example, we have evolving momentum right now with Ethereum. You can see here we can use this ascending support as an indicator to tell us when to get out of our trade. early, or to at least close half of it. So if we approach this resistance that we were just talking about, and in confluence with that, we end up rolling over, this is like your last straw telling you you need to get out of the market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
same
so
thing
much.
with Bitcoin.
Go ahead. No,
No
please,
problem,
go ahead.
man. Oh, yes, I can dive right into that. Sorry. So Bitcoin, let's pull that up here. Bitcoin's got more of an aggressive momentum, which is kind of nice. So this uptrending level momentum right here, we basically have it trailing the price action. And for every candle that closes, you're protecting your stop loss more and more and more. And eventually, this momentum is going to be in the profit zone, and you can start moving your take profit at these levels here as price action develops. So at that point, that's when I would have closed my trade.
Okay.
Or you can react to formations like this, like double top formations. The moment you lose support, that could be an indicator to tell you to get out of the market as well.
Yeah, so you know, you got a lot going on there, but you know, I think for people that are trading, it's important to you know, of course, you know, watch other people and how they chart, but you know, find a couple of indicators. There's hundreds of them that you can pick, and just kind of pick the ones that work for you and that you're comfortable with. And so, with that being said, Kyle, we wanted to thank you so much for joining us. If people want more of your TA, more of your info, where can they find you? Where should they go?
Investashare.com. That's the best place to go. I give signals, coaching. There's 20 courses that also are included in that. So basically, investashare.com. You'll be able to learn everything you need to know about trading, and you can copy exactly what I do as well within my Discord.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Great to meet you, and take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, brother.
You too, man. Nice meeting you guys.
Thanks, Kyle.
All
Peace
right.
out. Bye.
All right, man. I gotta have an intermission here, guys. Rocco, move the camera. First of all, why haven't you hit the like button? But that's not why I need the camera. We'll hit the like button, and then I can explain to you why I need the camera. I need the camera because, well, Bitcoin's over 28,000, baby. Yeah, I guess the bullhorn sounds. $28,000 Bitcoin. We are we're moving, man. We're moving. I mean, this is some healthy growth right here. You know, kind of like me when I was 13 years old. You know, a lot of healthy growth in a short period of time. Just letting you know. There you
What
go.
the hell?
So, and then let's I ask of you here in the chat one last thing. Why don't we get an Ola chant going for all the new people here that might not know what the hell's going on? Put an Ola in the chat. If you've hit the like button, confirm that by putting Ola in the chat. Thank you. Gracias. That's all I got.
No. Lickies are up. And
What
by
is?
Lickies, I mean liquidations.
Did
We're
you called them lickies? Stop it right now.
So
Don't ever do that again.
we're on pace.
Never again.
Okay, I promise to never say lickies again.
Yes, thank
if
you.
you never do that. Whatever the hell that is.
That's from Fast and Furious.
No, that's from words I
Tyrone.
can't say on show
That's
because I get
Tyrone.
canceled. So I do want to know, we are on pace. I'm not saying this is going to happen. If you look at the 1 hour, $43 million of liquidations with 85, and I believe the number was 85.6% of that being shorts are getting crushed, are getting liquidated, which is on pace for a 24-hour number of over $1 billion. Now, of course, I don't think we're going to see that happen, but shorts are getting crushed. We do have end of quarter options expiring at the end of this month, June 30th. So, hey guys, big things are happening. Big movement, big shifts. Also, speaking of big movements, Bitcoin dominance reaches 50% for the first time in 2 years. Now, we've had a debate on this show numerous times. I know Rand from Crypto Banter had a bet with Benjamin Cowan, and Rand actually tweeted a few minutes ago that, Ben, you're right. Because they had a bet that Bitcoin dominance would not reach, well, Rand said it would not reach 50%. Ben said it would. Well, Ben was right. Bitcoin dominance gets to 50%. First time in 2 years. Bitcoin's market dominance has surged by more than 10.5% since November of last year. So, you know, now I'll read this part too, and I'll get your take on this, Robin. But MicroStrategy co-founder and outspoken Bitcoin bull Michael Saylor believes that this dominance will top 80% in the coming years. Is this man crazy?
80%.
That's insane. I mean, okay.
This is so the problem with this is that the thesis, it makes sense, right? 80% makes sense, right? If all of a sudden countries are putting their treasury assets, countries, instead of holding gold, instead of Fort Knox being Fort Knox, it's Coinbase custody, right? That thesis makes sense.
Yeah, right.
And if you were to look at, hey, how much of the world is using the dollar and as the world reserve currency, and how much of precious metals out of the precious metals group, how much of it is gold for countries, I would say it's probably over 80%. So in that theory, yes, but the problem is that crypto's got way too many degenerates. And there's too many people that'll make money in Bitcoin and be like, I'm about to roll this over into another chain, right? That's what they're gonna do, man.
I feel like if there's any day that Michael Saylor's watching Sin City Crypto, that day is today. And Mr. Saylor, to you, when you come on our show, I'm gonna ask you, with all the degenerates in our space, how could you possibly throw 80% out there? Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, but
because I like to look at, and I kind of say that jokingly, degenerates, but I think the biggest measure for investment, look no further than venture capital. And venture capital is heavy on altcoins, heavy on Ethereum particularly. And I think your broker dealers, I think the more traditional finance that isn't in heavy investment and basically a more in portfolio management, they're going to side with Bitcoin, right? They're just going to put a position in Bitcoin and just not take on risk. So yeah, it's gonna be a battle, man. But venture capital, I mean, they love Ethereum, man. They love that whole ecosystem. Also, you know what I love?
they can make money.
I love the new people in the chat. If you're new here, say hello so I can jump on. Hola back at you. We have Dave Augustine, Thesis himself, Rudy G, Donato, Zoltan, Yivori, Hefe, Rolling 69ers, Matt S, Hefes, and also Samish, Trees, Sharik. Hola! Welcome to Cincinnati.
Jackpot sounds. Rising back to the days I was a gambler. Not anymore. What do you guys think? Okay. You think 80%, like what probability would you give 80%? I would give it maybe 3% probability of getting 80%. But
You think there's a 3% chance? Yeah, I think it's realistic. I'll put it that way. I don't think it's so far-fetched. I wouldn't put it at 3%. Because remember, if there is countries scooping up, if there is an arms race to get as much Bitcoin as possible, if all of a sudden England and the United States, Canada, Russia, China, India, these are all economies with trillions of dollars. I mean, the U.S. alone, the S&P 500 is worth 44 trillion. So that doesn't even represent how much money the government has. And so if Bitcoin is at $500 billion and economies are in the multi-trillions of dollars, then it just makes sense that, I mean, we're not even talking about private here. I'm just talking about just straight nation states. I truly believe that's coming. Do you think nation states are going to hold Bitcoin?
hell yeah.
I think so.
Does BRICS count as nation states holding Bitcoin?
No.
If their if their currency is backed by Bitcoin?
No. Did you see the IMF interview? It's great.
When you did a video on yesterday?
Yeah.
Telling you, man. Guys, it is so obvious. And this is honestly what you said is the perfect segue. Because I have this video from John Deaton that I want to share with you. This was him on MSNBC. And then we're going to talk about the big news that came out today. So, Rocco? Gracias. Mucho gusto. Mucho gusto.
And what I think what's happening is that cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is one of the few times in history where the individual kind of front run the industry, if you will, and the hedge funds. And personally, I think the Gensler's attack on crypto is to allow the hedge funds and the Wall Streeters to come in, crash the market. They come in and then
By the way,
promote it
they
as
do
the
that with the
greatest.
stock.
Isn't that what's literally happening? People like John Deaton, I have personally said it myself, and we're not the only ones. There's been plenty of people who have said that Gary Gensler and company and the traditional companies and banks, they're at this point where they understand we cannot kill crypto. Crypto is here to stay. The technology is here to stay. Bitcoin is inevitable. It's like Thanos said, I'm inevitable. Satoshi was here, he would say, I'm inevitable. Bitcoin is inevitable.
Thanos out of this. I have a good visual representation of everything you just said.
Okay.
If you weren't following along what he said, yeah, there we go. And there it is. Regulatory approval. And on the backside, you got BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Chase, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley.
It is interesting.
As soon as it's available to those industries and it's clear, well,
But John Deaton said something very interesting. He said this is the first time that retail investors are and have the ability to front run the institutions. Isn't that essentially what we're doing? If we're continuing to see those companies up there, and this isn't just rumors, this is happening, okay? There's another article I'm going to show you guys, a new exchange that's out, that's backed by 3 massive companies, right, in traditional finance. Deutsche Bank, they entered the Bitcoin space. So isn't that what we're essentially doing? We're front running the institutions who are coming into our space.
I don't know what the narrative is. I think, okay, on one hand, I look at this in 2 ways, right? In one perspective, you have regulation is putting the brakes on crypto because they have the bank's best interest at heart, right? You have the banks saying, hey, money is leaving savings and checking accounts, investment portfolios, and it's going to crypto. And these people fund and have friends and have buddies and golfing homies that work at the regulatory agencies like the SEC. And so there's a joint effort in Congress. There's a joint effort with regulation to slow down crypto. And so part of me thinks it's simply to keep the interest of the bankers, exactly that, the interest of legacy finance simply and to stay in its lane and not let crypto integrate, not let crypto come in. They're losing money to crypto. It's getting bigger. It's a problem. And they're trying to slow it down. That's option 1. And then option 2, same thing, same buddies, same golfing homies, except for now they're like, hey, we need to build this thing out. Why don't we try to get ahead of this game? Because at the same time, there's no shortage of JP Morgan saying, hey, we're launching crypto services, Fidelity offering 401k and Bitcoin. There's also, the list goes on and on. Every major financial institution has some kind of crypto department, crypto research, or crypto platform that's in development. And if this thing doesn't slow down, they're going to lose customers to the competition, which is the crypto exchanges, right? Because where is that money leaving? It's going to exchanges. And those exchanges are getting shut down. And so it makes sense that, but there's more conspiracy theory to the second one. Because the second one, they have a narrative for what they're doing, and the narrative is hush-hush, right? And so they're trying to slow it down so that way these legacy finance institutions can build their platforms. So this is a lot of speculation. So I like to think of the first one because the first one makes more sense. I think that legacy finance, the old money, they like their business model. They don't like anything new. And they're calling in a favor with the SEC and their homies. And they're like, hey man, shut this crap down. We're losing money. That's what I think is happening.
I don't think so. I don't think it's coincidence that, politicians always say, never let what's the saying? Never let go to waste, a tragedy, not a tragedy, but never let a big event go to waste, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a saying, someone help me out in the chat.
That's right.
You guys know what I'm saying. Never let the bad thing go to waste. Something. Well, essentially take something bad that happens and turn into a positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a shooting at a school. If you're on the Democrat side, turning that into
come on.
Well,
Man.
I'm just saying, but this is
stop,
okay,
man.
that's a bad example.
Yeah,
okay?
you don't.
A better example.
You can't even name the example. Then you give a bad one.
A better example is FTX was a stain. It was a casualty or whatever the case may be, and they turned that into a positive. Like, okay, this is the time.
Better analogy. Thank you.
Use that as a good crisis. Thank you. A crisis. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Something bad happens, they use it to push their narrative forward. Well, this narrative has been building just like the tobacco companies, cigarette makers like Philip Morris. When the vape industry came, they had a choice. We either buy them out, we stay with the trend, or we go bye-bye. And so some companies decided to buy out vape companies or launch their own vape products, and some didn't. Those companies are not around anymore. Cigarette sales are down. Same thing here. You have the banking system, the traditional financial system, saying, okay, this thing is not going anywhere. It is global. Can't really control it the way we control these other things. Let's take what happened with FTX. Let's get our friends at the SEC and at the government to help suppress demand and to create an alley. To create an alley for us to come in, scoop up the average investor, scoop up the retail, the new money coming in. There's a trust issue with the people in our space. And the SEC continuing to file lawsuit after lawsuit is helping their cause because it's creating a divide in the space of the retail investor. They can't trust the crypto companies because all they hear about is manipulating markets. This person siphoned off this much money, this hack, that hack. They're commingling funds. Here comes the knight in shining armor, which is JP Morgan Chase, Fidelity, and BlackRock. And they're going to corner the market. And that is
the thing is that this was always going to happen. And if you thought that crypto was going to become a multi-trillion-dollar industry, take money away from legacy finance and traditional investments, and that JP Morgan, BlackRock investment, if you thought they were just going to sit on the sidelines and be like, well, you know what? We're just going to stick to fiat. You guys make your own money. We're a failing business model, and we're just going to hang by and just keep doing our thing. No. This has always been on the table. This is why they have research. This is why for tech companies, research is one of the biggest investments or the biggest parts of their budget.
R&D.
R&D. Apple spends more money on R&D than marketing. Why do they do that? Because they need to stay ahead of the game. And you know what? Technology now is money as well, or money is deeply integrated with technology. You didn't have to worry about that so much. All you had to make sure was people weren't counterfeiting your dollar bills, as a nation. And for banks, you just had to make sure that your ledgers worked. You went from paper checks to digital checks. You just had to slowly upgrade that thing as need be. And then you charge people for it. Like, hey, you want a checkbook? Pay $15. Hey, you want to check an account? Pay $15. And so they funded that. But now everything has changed. Everything's digital. You got the private sector as competition. So, hey, man, you know what? Bank of America, you make a bad product. You charge me too much money for my checking account. Hey, guess what? Even if I'm not in crypto, I can go open up an account through an app now. I can go to, freecredit.com or whatever it is app, and they'll give me a check card. And I can direct deposit right into them. And so we have options now. Things are evolving quickly. And you know what? These new financial centers are creating competition for legacy finance. Not only in crypto, but in everything.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the banks right now, they're the taxi cabs. And Uber is here, man. And so what's your next move? What's your next move, man? And what we're seeing, spot Bitcoin ETF, that's the next move. 401ks with Bitcoin. That's the next move. International remittance payments, moving money without the 3 to 5 days and $50 fee. Competition is gonna disrupt that. At some point, paying $1.99 a minute to call internationally when you could buy a cell phone and talk as much as you want internationally, that disrupted the long distance calling business model that was AT&T. What did AT&T do? They went all in on cell phones. They didn't sit back. AT&T started, for all my newbies here, AT&T started by offering long distance services.
Wow.
And then what happened? They don't do that anymore because their business model got disrupted by emerging technology, by cell phones and cheaper long distance calling.
You're either guys, there's a reason. You look at companies like Coca-Cola. They've been around for a century. I believe more than a century.
But Coca-Cola doesn't go digital.
I'm just saying there's some right, but you know, you come up with new flavors, whatever. You either really early in a space and you continue to build and you gain a majority of the market share in the beginning like Amazon did, or you, like Robin said, you keep up with the times, you stay ahead of the trends, you identify opportunities and changes in the landscape and you capitalize on those.
Real quick. It's Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Yeah.
Coca-Cola or Pepsi?
Coca-Cola all day long, not even close. If I had an option,
It taste the same,
if
man.
I had an option, vanilla Coke or cherry vanilla Coke.
You stop putting flavors in that Coke, man. That's nasty.
Dude, chicken
Ever
sauce,
since they took
Coca-Cola.
cocaine out of Coke, I got a flavor with something. I wasn't around for the cocaine. You know,
Look,
people
man.
are loving the 4K stream. We're loving you guys as well. And so, yeah. You know what else is loving things is
I want to know. Put a 1 for Coke, a 2 for Pepsi, or put a 3 if it tastes the damn same. Because I'm putting a 3 in the chat. That's what I'm doing.
they don't taste
They
the
taste
same.
the same, man.
They do not
Coke and
taste
Pepsi taste the same.
Coke all day long. Rocco, put a 1.
Dr. Pepper.
Proxy me. Dr. Pepper. That wasn't an option. Now, Robin mentioned everything, but he forgot to mention one thing, and that is crypto custody. Well, guess what? Germany's largest bank, Deutsche Bank, the $1.4 trillion lender, has applied for a license to custody crypto assets. We have been saying this is going to happen for months. I personally have gone on every damn show and talked about whether it's on Around the Blockchain, whether it was on Crypto Wendy O show, whether it was on Missing Crypto. There right now is a gap between trust, okay? There's no trust right now from the average investor with these crypto companies. They don't trust themselves to custody their own crypto. They don't trust the hot wallets and they don't trust the exchanges. Who do they trust? Their bank, because they keep all their money with them. They trust Charles Schwab. They trust TD Ameritrade. What are you doing? That's all I got. That's it. In other news, Fidelity. And my button's not working. Rocco, cue my laptop. Finance giants expanding their crypto horizons with exchange loss. Exchange launch loss. This is from Blockworks. I had a really good point I was going to make, but no, that got ruined. Thanks, Rob. EDX Markets, a crypto exchange aimed at institutional investors, launched Tuesday after a litany of finance behemoths announced its creation back in September of 2022. Now, I do want to say, guys, a lot of people are saying, oh my God, this is not new. If you guys remember, we covered this back in September of last year. They didn't have a name at the point, but we knew the three big ones: Citadel, Fidelity, Charles Schwab. They also have other major backers, including Virtue Finance, Sequoia, and Paradigm, which are VC firms. A couple things I've highlighted down here. EDX appears to be taking a cautious approach with U.S. securities regulators, which goes to show why they're only listing 4 cryptocurrencies. And none of these 4 cryptocurrencies have ever been labeled as securities in the latest of the SEC lawsuits. Those include Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin, and for the love of God, who is still trading Bitcoin Cash? Like, seriously. Who is trading Bitcoin Cash?
Okay, they can't have realistic volume. Like, they can't. Like, there's no way Bitcoin Cash has any real volume, right? I mean, any volume there has got to be just people trading, right?
I just like
What is the volume? $72 million in volume the last day.
it's a little ridiculous.
It's supposed to be the same price as Bitcoin. It's $100. It's a failed idea.
That's additionally, EDX's crypto operations have been modeled after the stock market, shocker, which is under a much clearer regulatory umbrella than crypto. Just as investors don't have direct access to the New York Stock Exchange, EDX will funnel trades on its marketplace through retail brokerages. This is a key difference from how Coinbase and Binance operate, both of which allow investors to directly trade tokens. Also, they are going to be a non-custodial exchange, which tells me Deutsche Bank applies. Then these I can see for sure your crypto is custodied at Deutsche Bank. Don't worry, they have $1.4 trillion. They're good. Use our exchange to trade, buy, sell. On the back of this news, we also had news come out yesterday that Crypto.com has employees or people that trade against their clients on their exchange. Like, that's a no-no. To me, that's a big no-no. You do not, especially if you're a custodial exchange, if you custody your customers' crypto, you know their positions, you know their liquidation points, you know how much they're custodying, you're the ones holding it, and you're trading against them. To me, that's a big no-no. And so, while I do believe that our industry, our exchanges have been treated unfairly, some of them have not done anything to help their case. So, you know, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? First of all, do you like the name EDX? I hate the name. Terrible name.
So who's operating EDX?
So it's a conglomerate partnership between Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Citadel.
And so I'm like trying to. This is the first week I've really heard this, so I'm trying to like digest. So it's going to circumvent the exchange, the traditional crypto exchanges, right?
It'll be just like an exchange.
Yeah, but
with only
it's circumventing the regulatory aspect, right? It's like a loophole
by not listing any tokens that the SEC has deemed a security.
But how long is that going to last?
Well,
I mean, it's essentially the list is going to be just Bitcoin.
Well,
and then what do they do when they have a market? Because here's the thing. The lawsuit that Coinbase got hit with, they didn't know those assets were listed as securities, right? That was just kind of like in the lawsuit, right? It said, hey, you're trading securities like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So it wasn't explained with clarity that those tokens are securities before the lawsuit, right? And so it's safe to assume that everything's a security that's not Bitcoin. And even Bitcoin, the SEC sure has not pushed against Bitcoin, but they haven't been open about it. And they still have not said Bitcoin is clearly a commodity. Bitcoin is a commodity. They have not said that. All they've said is outside of Bitcoin, everything seems to be a security. They don't even go, they won't even acknowledge that it's a commodity. They just kind of like leave it alone. It's like a girlfriend that they're super in love with, now dating other people, and they just don't want to talk about it. And what I'm saying is that how can you run an exchange off the premise that, hey, our exchange, we're running it because the things that are in here aren't labeled securities? But I'd argue that the SEC thinks everything's a security. And it wouldn't even blow my mind if they said Bitcoin was a security. It wouldn't. I mean, would you? I mean, would you?
No.
Would you be floored if you walked in and you were like, Rob, today's show is going to be a good one? I'm like, why? Gary Gensler said Bitcoin's a security. I'd be like, I
Well,
knew I
here
knew
we
this
go.
day was coming. Damn you, Gary. like
Speaking of damn you, Sam Bankman-Fried. You know what's funny is is every idea someone throws out there that, that whether it's a critical thinking, people label it as a conspiracy theory. Robin has labeled me a conspiracy theorist on this show for saying things that are now true, as have many people in the space.
I am not saying that a good conspiracy theory can't come true, but
there have been
you've had a lot of them that made no sense.
There have been people who said when Sam Bankman-Fried got charged that the guys they're going to conspire, they're going to drop charges, and he's going to walk. And everyone said conspiracy theorist. Well, the Fed quietly drops charges.
If
against
he does not get charged, I am doing
what?
a remote show from Washington D.C. You can stay here.
Are you putting your?
You can
no,
stay
I'm coming
here.
if we're going. I want to go.
You want to go too?
I wanna go.
No, we
No, I
gotta
wanna
have
go.
somebody at
No,
home
I'm
base.
go-
bro.
Rocco's
Stay
going.
here. I'll stay
Rocco's
here.
staying.
Okay, stay here.
I'm going to Washington.
We are going.
We are going to Washington. If this man does not get charged, I'm going to Washington.
What? No, he'll
Who's
get
coming
charged,
with me?
but he'll take a
I want
plea.
to know who's coming with me.
But he won't.
Who's
he'll walk.
coming with me? You in the
He'll
chat.
get house parole. Or a house.
Say,
is it
put a
house-
one in
house
the
arrest?
chat if
I
you're
don't
going to
know.
come with me to
Us.
Washington.
With us.
Put a one in the chat.
Anyways, Sam Bankman-Fried had several charges against him dropped by the feds to offer the offer to this is ABC reported this. The offer to sever 5 of the 13 charges followed a ruling
Okay,
earlier
so
this
you
week.
still got 8?
5 of the 13 charges. Yes, but
okay.
those 8. Anyways, we're heading in the direction of the guy's not going to go to jail.
There's no way, man. There's no way.
Bro?
There's no way. He's got to
Bro.
go to jail.
Bro,
He's going to go to jail. They got to set an example out. I mean, look at that face, man.
he's so
He
terrible.
won't go to jail.
I agree with Rocco.
You don't think he's going to go
Let's
to
do
jail?
it. Let's
No.
do a 1 and 2.
We already got a 1. If
Will Sam go to jail? 1, yes. Will Sam not go to
He
jail?
won't go
2.
to jail.
1, he's going to jail.
Well,
2, he's
we
not
already
going to jail.
did the one for going to Washington. So people
yeah.
are going to get confused here.
We'll do a 3 and a 4.
no, you
kidding.
can stick at 1. Yeah, you think he's going to go to jail? Put a 1 in the chat. If you think he's not going to go to jail, he'll work the system and eat that cucumber. Put a 2 in the chat. Bro, that cucumber picture is the weirdest thing, man. I still I see it all the time because I make the graphics for the show, so I'm always searching images, and every time I'm like Sam Bankman-Fried image,
Cucumber.
and there he is with a big ass cucumber in his mouth. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Who does that?
Vacations.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's gonna go on vacation.
There's a lot of twos.
already-
There's
he's
a lot
already
of
on
twos.
vacation.
He ain't going to jail, bro. I'm telling you, dude.
He's gonna go to jail.
You know what? It's like, okay, it's like working in a restaurant, okay, or any job. Something happens and the management comes in the next day for the next week. We're going to keep an eye on this.
Yeah, but when new management comes in and old management stole half of the money out of the register, they're gonna press charges on them.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Not if they had a part in it. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Not. They're going to let the
the
narrative die
government did not
down.
have a part in
People are
him
gonna
in
forget
stealing
about
money.
it.
In
People are
his
gonna forget.
arbitrage trading, the government did not have a part in that. Now, maybe they were working with him to expand regulation because he was paying them a lot of money. I could see a situation where they're like, hey, we don't have any crypto regulation. Why don't you give the exchanges more power? And they're like, I don't know about this. Here's $10 million. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good point. And I think that happened. But I don't think the U.S. government, I don't think that any branch, I don't think any politician was sitting there like, hey man, this FTT token, that's a really good idea. Yeah. Why don't you sell all the Bitcoin that you have from your customers and just replace it with FTT token? That's a good idea. Like, no, nobody had a part in that. And that's what that man's going to jail for taking people's Bitcoin and spending it elsewhere. And then filling the gap in with his trash ass FTT token. That's why that man's going to go to jail. Ain't got nothing to do with politicians.
I don't know.
He's not going to jail.
He's going to jail.
You're like,
He already did
I don't
judge.
There's a lot of
understand
twos in
you.
the chat, man. They agree with me.
no,
No,
two
they
is,
don't agree.
2 is
It's
he's not
vacation.
going to jail.
To his vacation.
Oh, Tuesday's not going to jail?
Yes.
What is wrong
What I'm
with y'all?
saying. I don't understand this like utopia world you live in where you think government does the right thing. And like,
Sam Bankman-Fried is going to jail.
He's not going
He
to
is
jail.
going to jail.
You want to do a side bet?
No.
Okay, fine. No
Listen,
side bet.
already
Because
with
if
the
I lose
judge,
a bet, I'm going to be mad.
the bail
least you
judge
lose
is
it to me.
$150 million, and the judge went away the next day. And how much they pay? $1 million? Over 250 million was it?
I don't know the amount.
It was like
The
that,
judge that
right?
recused himself.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then also, if you're new here, say hello. We got Anxiety Daharahan,
What?
What?
Mac Baby, and Brian Overhoser.
Mac, baby.
Hola! Welcome to
Mac,
Sin City Crypto.
baby. Guys, today, if you enjoy the 4K stream, you can thank one person, one company. That is Cam's Blue Wire Technology. We had a 10% bump in viewership today on the day that we went 4K. So if you want a 10% bump in your business, make sure to call Cam's Blue Wire Tech to help with all your networking issues. Also, I will be doing a Twitter. I'll be joining Twitter Space. We'll have Gareth on there, David Lynn, the Blonde Broker, a bunch of big names on there. We're going to talk about the markets. Did retweet that, so go follow us on Twitter. Share that tweet and come join and support us. Also, speaking of support, if you want to support the channel, there's tons of ways to do it. Just check all the links in the description of this video. Also,
The Twitter Spaces is hosted by Jessica.
Jessica Haley, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
she joined our
us
show last week.
That's
That's right. Looking forward to that. Also, go buy some merch. Visit internetcrypto.com. You won't just find Sin City crypto merch, but you'll also find merch from your favorite projects. Cardano, XRP, Ethereum, SHIB, Doge. If you're a MOL member, you get 10% off. With that being said, Rocco? Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was an absolute pleasure to spend our Tuesday with you. Make sure to come back tomorrow, same place, same time. Until then, we love y'all. Mucho te querés.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.